Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. BRAHMCHAR, the greatest divine virtue, an intelligent intuitive wisdom. What is BRAHMCHAR? The greatest truthful behavior. Achar is a behavior, Brahm is a great. A genuine question. How do human beings fall in love? I can't understand that. My perception is every human being should rise in love, should never fall in love. Genuine love will never let anyone make even a single mistake. The soul will rise to experience spiritual science only when they are in love with the self and love with everyone in the world, and at the same time have a love for the opposite gender who is going to be part of your being for creating the next generation of honest, truthful, wonderful scientists of the world who are spiritual scientists in every aspect. Now, prime objective of every human being is the perfect physical health, free from diseases, perfect emotional stability, material wealth and abundance of everything, right education and knowledge, and knowing everything perfectly from self to the whole world in an integrated way. The reasons of failure: we don't even become disease-free life because we are ignorant and have no knowledge about the perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology. We do not understand divine mathematics, we do not understand divine physics, we do not understand divine chemistry, we do not even understand biology. We are deficient outright in all the world, and that is the thing which I find in all the education through the world is deficient, deficient and deficient. And my objective is to bring clarity in the light of Divyank. This is a perfect. Only a perfect people can be free from diseases. We should have a preventive medicine, not a curative medicine as such. I want everybody to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. Now comes to the Akhand. It's a series of work which I am doing which revolves around Om, the symbol which I had made 50 years ago in 1974, is the most reflection of Mantra Vidya. And this symbol is the reflection of Divyak. The outer is 22 by 21. There are 10 petals and 5 as such. A to Z of spiritual science is presented in this picture, which was started in 1995 to start with. And this is a picture 30 years later in 2025. And things have not changed from 95 to this. Only things have been added which are clear in every aspect. Now comes to the question. We are talking about Tantra Vidya, and I say there are not 7 chakras. There are 6 chakras talked about Satchakra Nirupana, but actually there are 10 chakras by and large in the human body who are associated with endocrine system as well autonomic nervous system. And I am showing the centers how they function for homeostasis and perfect physical health. Now, as I have shown, the chakras move left, right and right wise for they go around clockwise for increasing energy and go anti-clockwise to reduce energy. This balance goes on the physical body 24/7 every 90 minutes. The whole system is designed, and Rahu column lasts for 90 minutes. There are 8 centers during 12 hours as such. And once you experience that, you can make your physical body perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy by understanding how to rotate chakras clockwise and anti-clockwise, and what is required. You can have a very good karma yoga or action, thoughts and process in the process, and everything designed with Divyank alone. Now I'm making one thing very clear. Everybody talks about 7 chakras. There are not 7 chakras. The Satchakra Nirupana is the ancient book and talks of only 6 chakras, and there are 6 goddesses of Tantra Vidya which I appreciate. Now they, as in auto realization has said, unless until you realize the self within your own self, you can't even understand anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology. And that is the experience of Tantra within the physical body is where the learning actually starts. All the books by and large I have read for the last 70 odd years are defective. They are not having impeccable wisdom. It might sound very different, but unfortunately that's the reality. Now I am very happy that first 40 years of my life approximately was wonderful academically, research wise, professional and otherwise, no deficiency at all. CV or profile are brilliant, exemplary in every way. But fortunately, I got a Diksha on 1st January 1990, accidentally, into simplified Kundalini. And that changed my life completely because I experienced something within the body which I had not even bothered about it. And that till that time, I had no idea of chakras, Kundalini, Nadi, Tantra at all. I was totally ignorant. But one experience changed me completely. Now, with that concentration, I was asked to look at between the eyebrows in the Trikuti portion you can see, and that portion was enlightened. I experienced the clockwise movements of Manipura Chakra. You can see down how it moved to the left leg around the heart and rose slowly to this. And I know very well that was my experience of Manipura Chakra, which is upper abdomen, and also Samana Prana and digestion because I had gone after breakfast. But the Kundalini moved through the left vagus nerve to the brainstem. And that experience made me clear when it was focused in digestion, but I was made to meditate on upper portion and it had to move to that stage because my concentration was on that spot for 22 minutes. This is where you need a concentration of everything, only then you can experience. Anyone who's not listening to the teacher, another thing, can never be an enlightened soul at all. Now comes this is the representation which I have experienced. Manipura movement and the left vagus nerve and Ajna chakra or brainstem, which is center for vagus nerve. Now, after experiencing that particular thing, enjoying it very well, I asked what next to learn. He said, Turiya Titam, concentrate 1 foot over the head, as you can see in Buddha's picture. And when I felt, I could feel the experience, the chakras right there. As if it is from the brain, it is going and moving in clockwise and anti-clockwise. And I think that was phenomenal experience. And moving on from that to higher and higher levels of consciousness was not at all difficult. When I could put 1 foot over the head, going to any extent, going right up to pole star or Dhruva has never been a problem. After that, for me to travel to any part of the world to see what is happening has never been a problem. I can experience that within my body as such, and as a result, I understand FM radio, this radio, TV radio signals on the same process which I was using it. I think this is science and spirituality came together. I am grateful to the scientists who have made those things happen today in physical reality which we are using in every form, and I am glad same knowledge was used in Mahabharata too to see what is happening in Kurukshetra and show it to Dhritarashtra by Sanjay by and large. That was same perception, same time, and same thing I have done it, and that is the beauty. And I know everyone can do it. Then after 91, 1 year of concentrating, learning and different things, reading everything, 1st January 1992, I took a decision. I've been trying to help everybody and follow others and trying to please others. That's the time I realized I am not a democrat. Majority opinion need not be right. And also not a diplomat, which I had tried to. Then I decided no. I am going to talk of the truth and nothing other than truth. I am going to become perfect Lokpalar, which books made me realize that we are. Then experience gave me if I can do that, I can do wonders by myself. And this picture was made in 1992 to show it to my nephews how to do a drawing with a pencil sketch right in front. But this picture at that given moment of time, I did not realize the real beauty, but I know realize the beauty right now because in this particular picture you can see face of a female, not a male. Half is a male, half is a female, and there is a Ganga right on the western side, not on the eastern side, and sitting on Himalayas and water company. All these things are real, but this also made me realize that Divyank in the female part is 61.8034% and male part is 38.1966%. Left brain is a male dominant mathematical logical side, and right brain is absolutely multi-dimensional female brain where they are very good. Female by and large are centered in the brain, and that's it. And males are not centered in the right side of the brain at all. And after this particular thing, I realized that my understanding of the opposite gender became more and more clear. And when it became more and more clear, I realized that I could understand all the 64 arts and sciences step by step. This is a journey which went on along with my PhD work, my clinical practice as a surgeon, general surgeon, ENT surgeon, plastic surgeon, pharmaceutical industry, everything simultaneously went on. So literally every subject, I think I try to master and become the best in every subject, and that over a period made me realize how wonderful the human life is, how great the human beings are, how perfect we are. And I'm sharing for the world because education by and large from school, college, university is defective. It needs to be corrected. And I do not expect anybody else to follow because ego is a big problem. I am leaving behind. Now it's up to the people. If they like it, good. Do research and move on. If they don't want, doesn't really matter to me. Because to me, money doesn't matter, name doesn't matter, fame. Maybe nobody knows me and I don't want anybody to know me either. They should know that education is important, not a human being as such. Spiritual gurus are not the men. It is the writing they leave behind with the impeccable wisdom. That is a guru, not the human being. Now, after that I did a review literature, I found all the books are defective, and one by one I'm now trying to correct those books for the sake of my own self and of course sharing for the love of the world. Now 92 end, I had a 4 months training in yoga. At the end of the yoga, I realized that the light which is inside, I can also see outside. That's the time I realized the shunya, zero, is dot inside, and expanded circle or spherical thing is what India has spoken the word zero from the time of Rig Veda itself as a shunya. I think that was a beautiful thing. It is not Aryabhata who invented zero, which everybody talks about it. It was realized by every Brahman, like Shibhushan Sharma is a Brahman. As a Brahman, they knew it is a dot, everything is come from that, is sustained by the dot, is resolved with the dot. And I think that made me realize how beautiful is Rig Veda, how beautiful is Aitreya Upanishad, how beautiful is Yajurveda, how beautiful is Brihad Upanishad. And similarly, all the Upanishads and Vedas realize that Sanskrit scriptures by and large, so much of divine mathematics is there, crystal clear. But everybody calls it babbling of infancy civilization. Is a pathetic world. Akhand Bharat gave the knowledge of the highest, is giving the knowledge, will always give, because there is a oneness with universal consciousness only in Akhand Bharat. Nowhere else in the world you can find this kind of higher evolution. Now with that I realize that there are 5 centers outside. Annamay Kosh, Pranamay Kosh, Manomay Kosh, Vigyanmay Kosh, Anandamay Kosh, they are inside, outside, which everybody talks about. Now after that, I realized the Mooladhara Chakra came to be realized at a later date. And that is the foundation chakra which I realized after reading. Then I started concentrating on this part. The first picture is of Sat Chakra Nirupana, ancient with the lam and the 4 letters, and the second one Akhand, which I made it. Third one is the medical prescription. I have shown it. You can go for detailed knowledge there. This is the resting place for Kundalini, and this is where the Kundalini, Ida Nadi, Sushma Nadi as well as Pingala Nadi are associated with Mooladhara Chakra, and they are associated with the left and right paravertebral sympathetic system, which has got 45 ganglia which arise from 20 years, is exactly designed according to Divyang. And they are also associated with left and right vagus nerve, and association with sympathetic and parasympathetic autonomic goes on this particular concept as such. Same picture is there in this. I have shown that paravertebral fibers arise from T1 to L2, 14 segments, there are 28 nerves and 45, and that is Divyang, and how they supply and what function comes. Sympathetic, it gives you the extra energy. Parasympathetic is rest, digest and conserve. Whenever you want an evolution, it will be sympathetic energy of adrenaline, noradrenaline, catecholamine, etc., which gives you the power to make things better. Clockwise is sympathetic, anti-clockwise is parasympathetic, as simple as that. And there are 10 higher centers in brainstem, our brain, as well as spinal cord. They are associated with ganglion as well as endocrine glands of the 10 in nature, which I am also talking about one by one. And this is a structure which Satchakra Nirvana talks about. It is a reptilian brain which is made of 6 parts, and you can see the upper cranial parasympathetic system has 4 nerves, where 4 segments of the spinal cord sympathetic and 3 of the sacral parasympathetic. 4 plus 14 plus 3 is 21. When it goes beyond to this, to the hypothalamus, is where 22 by 21 comes up. I think that is the beauty which you see in Satchakra Nirupana itself. Now there comes to the question of structure of Brahma Granthi. Mooladhara cannot get into spinal cord directly, and spinal cord is what Sushumna Nadi is. There are fibers in between Mooladhara chakra, which is ganglion empire, and equina, carda equina to the spinal cord. And this becomes a block for Kundalini to move into the center one. That's the reason you experience only external evolution of Braharang. But when this breaks, it goes into the central canal, which is Brahmanadi, and then rises to the ventricles, and that is integration of the self. That is 8 Ashtanga Yoga Patanjali with Kundalini, chakras and internalization. You complete the stage in 10 stages again, and that is what I experienced after my initiation into simplified Kundalini. 91, then 92, 93, 94, 95. By 95 I had experienced that insight, and this is how it is. Now Brahma Granthi has to be broken, only then you can get and experience the chakras well. You can experience Mooladhara absolutely no problem. You can go to sleep, everything can be perfectly fine. You can experience the external rising itself from Mooladhara to Sahasrara outside, but that is not permanent. For completion, it has to go inside and reach to the ventricles and then experience one, and only then your entire nervous system, 100 billion neuron cells with the 20, would control the 100 trillion cells perfectly. You'll be like a walking, talking encyclopedia only after breaking Brahma Granthi. After that, you get into the ventricle and go to the third ventricle, which is in front of pineal gland, and that becomes the third eye. Now your perception of length and breadth alone, then you start exceeding 10 dimensions very clearly inside your brain itself, and your eyes can see inside very clearly. I have seen that, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and if I can do it, I'm sure everybody can do it. Then there comes a realize that below the Mooladhara chakra there are 7 centers right up to the soul, is represented between the 2 hemispheres of the brain. They are not outside, and that is also something which I have experienced. I think that made me realize how I can control lower legs and keep it alive and perfect even as I grow older. And more I have realized, more and more maintained research with physical exercise this, but primarily I keep it very clearly. Rigved is talking about elements of atom, element, molecules and compounds which are required to everything. So with a perfect diet you can change, and the diet has to be pure vegetarian, not non-vegetarian, and no alcohol, no drugs, nothing at all. Anything which can reduce the sensitivity of the sensory and motor content should not be done. If you are that confident, only then you can experience the beauty within the body, and then you can lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy life. Then come to the Swadhisthana chakra, which was the first to second chakra. Only after realization of the self, after breaking down Brahma Granthi, and that I experienced after Muladhara chakra experience, then Brahma Granthi broke, and then only Swadhisthana I realized how beautiful it is. And from that the movement became much more clearer, step by step, steps by realizing everything one by one. That is center of Ojas and Tejas. Now I have shown that first sound in Muladhara is Lam, here is Vam, and it is with the endocrine system. First one is the smell organs in the perineum, and here you have reproductive organs by and large. So reproductive organs start playing a role here. We have testes, ovaries, uterus, and male and female organs by and large become perfectly healthy, perfectly wealthy, perfectly wise, and you can be perfect person who can male can produce testosterone in abundance, which gets converted into estrogens through aromatization and rises, and you become intelligent like females by and large. But females have estrogen by and large, so they are already enlightened, and they need to understand the whole thing by being a family woman, get married, be the mother and the perfect. Once male and female realize this is the divine design, they have to work together. Only then they become a perfect couple. Only a perfect couple can be a spiritual scientist who believes that getting married and being in love with one person is problem. That person can never become one with universal consciousness. I can stand guarantee on that part. And this is the center which I have seen. Three nerves from sacral part go to 5 nerves and organ. I have already spoken. I think that is the sacral parasympathetic system. Now this is one thing which made me realize that perfect menstrual cycle is designed differently from what is taught throughout, and I have given that. Please go through this and realize how beautiful is the ancient Indian scripture. Particularly Divyang has helped me to realize the deficiencies of medical education and corrected it and given to the world. See, this particular thing is perfect. Then spermatogenesis, oogenesis also perfectly designed in 10 stages. I have spoken about it. This is just a reminder. Now come to 10 major center. I have already experienced that in 93. Muladhara to breaking Brahma Granthi, then other thing, Ida, Pingla, Sushmana Nadi was a beautiful experience within the self. But I know slowly and steadily in 95 I experienced that going into the ventricles of the brain, and after that was the completion. After that only I realized that Sushmana Nadi, which Satchakra Nirupana talked to, is only vertebral column like a shield. Within that you have Vani Nadi, in which cerebrospinal fluid moves from Muladhara chakra to Swadhisthana. From Swadhisthana only the sexual energy gets into Vani Nadi. I am making it very clear. Sexual energy, testosterone to estrogen flows through Vani Nadi. It's not going to get into central canal, which Kundalini or Aditi gets into. Only sexual energy, testosterone to Ojas to Tejas flows through Vahini Nadi. That's part. Inside you have Surya Nadi, which are ascending and descending tracks of sensory and motor component. But within that you have Chandra Nadi, which is grey matter meant for autonomic nervous system. And within that you have a central canal which is called Brahma Nadi. And Brahma Nadi is where Atma from Muladhara chakra, the Kundalini from Muladhara, breaking Brahma Granthi, breaks and gets in Brahma Nadi, is what is 10th stage of Akhand Yoga itself. Now comes to this question. Anyone whose testosterone is converted estrogen, estradiol, and moves on to that aromatization becomes like a maze of Hanuman. So you literally become perfectly healthy, wealthy person, perfect in muscles, perfect in RBC, perfect in intelligence, perfect everything. perfect actually is directly controlled by Ojas and Tejas with the reproductive hormones only. That's the reason I'm talking about the next stage is Swadhisthana chakra, reproductive hormones, and converting Ojas into Tejas is going up to the Bhani Nadi, and this is a shape both the things. Once you experience that, you can go to internal only thereafter. This could be the ninth stage. Now you are going to show the same thing in vertebral column. You have the vertebral column, you have the space, then within that is CSF, which is Vani Nadi. Grey matter is ascending and descending white tract, you can see it. Grey matter is autonomic nervous system, which is comes out to the lateral canal. Posterior and interior are the Surya Nadi. Grey matter is the lateral canal on those nuclei which are inside the brain, very close to the Brahma Nadi, and that's why inner consciousness is very prominent over there. Now how the external becomes internal. What was internal? Internal was Anamay Jog, then Pranamay, Manomay, Vigyanmay, Anandike. It gets reversed, which Taittiriya Upanishad talks about. Outermost is Anamay, within that is Pranamay, within that is Manomay, within that is Vigyanmay, within that Anandmay, within that is Brahmanadi, within that is Antaratma. And that is where I realized how beautiful is description in Taittiriya Upanishad about koshas and internalization, which is perfect for going. Maybe that helped me to understand Sat Chakra Nirupana better, and same thing was given in Sushma Nadi, Vani Nadi, Surya Nadi, Chandra Nadi and thing, and I could see the relationship beautiful, and that experience made me come to the next stage by and large. And once I was in the brain and I was in tune with the earth element, and my brain started being in tune with 7.88 alpha frequency at that particular stage. And I make it very clear, ionosphere, Ashum and resonance field, Akash Kosh has the record of the past, present and future all recorded there. And once you are in tune with that, your consciousness can be the Akash Kosh, which is a part of the Antariksh atmosphere, and also beyond the solar system, also part of spiral galaxy, and also beyond. And this Akash goes at different levels, and from different levels I understood past, present and future events easily, and we can all do it. And I do know, unless until you experience it, you will never be able to. Spirituality is to be experienced and explained, not from the book knowledge. That is absolutely no use. I am glad for 40 years I had no idea. Once I started, I realized the beauty, and now I'm sharing that for the love of myself and the world by and large. Then I realized most evolved brain in the world is human brain, but unfortunately no neuroscientist in the world even knows what the functions of the three layers of neocortex. They know the functions of grey matter with the spinal cord and brainstem, but these three outer layers which bring us higher to the consciousness, they do not even know. And I know, and as a result I am in tune with universal consciousness. Now this particular picture, there are 7 layers. Up all the ascending things go up to 4th layer, and everything comes from 4th layer down. First, second and third, no action, but it can work thing and being in tune with the universal consciousness. That's my point. Now I do know, since I am infused with that and beyond that, to Turyatitam, to Akash Kosh of earth element, atmosphere, beyond the solar system, again Akash Kosh, beyond the spiral grid, again Akash Kosh, beyond the greater universe, another Akash Kosh which extends right up to pole star. When you travel like that, you have a beautiful astral travel, and you know the divine mathematics at every stage, and that is what I have been able to do one by one in the last 30 years. But with the closed eyes, I could produce 8.5 hertz throughout the brain in all the 64 parts. You can see in this picture, but it is 8.5 hertz. But very moment I opened the eyes, it became 8 hertz. You can see it much more clearly, much more prominent, much more powerful. And Samadhi stage with open eyes is much more than with the closed eyes. I think that was a phenomenal thing to realize. And then moving on to the next stage, to this picture, I'm not going to talk, but everything is there in this picture itself. And that is what. So some of this particular thing, brahmachar, is when your character is perfect, you are truthful, non-violent, unabusive, you respect everyone, including your wife and others. You make the home like a heaven, and only then things can happen. Everybody who's running around from place to place without a focus inside the self and at home and doing conscientiously actually will not be able to be one with the universal consciousness. I do believe your workplace, your home, everything should be like a temple, and that's it. I think it's enough for the day. So brahmachar means you are honest, truthful person, and for that Ojas, Tejas, testosterone, estrogen, other things play very important role. You have very good muscles, very good RBCs, very good oxygen, very good intelligence, very good intuition. This and that is designed right in that. Kundalini sleeps in Muladhara but wakes up directly, goes into Swadhisthana only to make sure there is enough energy to move on with higher and higher levels consciousness. And that is what this is all about. So thank you very much.